Hey folks, Ghost Cat Cooks. So today we were wondering what to have for dinner. You know, that's the eternal question. What's for dinner? So I'm gonna make chicken fajitas. Chicken was on sale the other day, so I picked some up. You know, a family pack. Stuck some in the freezer. I had two breasts left over, boneless, skinless chicken breasts. So what I did. So last night I put some seasoning on here, and it's chili powder, a little bit of cumin, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, salt, black pepper, and I just let it marinate in the fridge overnight. We'll also be using yellow onion, an orange pepper, and a green pepper, and that'll go in the chicken itself. Then the sides will be a sour cream, salsa, and guacamole. So we have two avocados here. I'll show you a quick, easy hack on how to make guacamole. It's a little cheat that comes out really good. And then lime, of course, gets sprinkled over the top of the fajitas. So I think that's about it. So let's start real quick by chopping up the onion. I showed you in a different video previously on how to prepare the onion, you know, take the skin off and all. So for this method, I'm going to cut this core out because we're going to slice it a little different than we usually do for slicing and dicing. And the reason is we want these strips of onion in the fajitas to be a little more sturdy and stand up, you know, through the cooking a little bit. And that way they don't fall apart, get too mushy. So if we cut them this way, the grain goes this way in the onion. The layers, you know, go that way. So if you cut across the grain, just like with anything, it makes it more tender, and as it cooks, it falls apart easier. So what we want to do is cut it with the grain, right? So we got the half onion, we took the core out, and we're going to start slicing it this direction. If we had a sandwich or something, we'd slice it the other direction, but now we're slicing it with the grain. So you see what comes out here is these strips, and they'll be a little more substantial when we end up cooking them. So we'll put that in the bowl. I'm going to do the other half here real quick. I used to do these by the 50-pound bag to do caramelized onions in one of the restaurants I worked in. Talk about crying with the onions. Oh my gosh. Okay, so peppers. There's a specific way to fillet a pepper. And so if you didn't know, green peppers either turn into an orange or a red or a yellow, usually yellow. So they look nice and bright green even if they're starting to change. But so this is how I do it. You know, there's a million ways again. So I come and I just kind of cut down so I'm missing the seeds. Right? Kind of like that. And then this is the whole seed thing. If you were really into it, you could cut this part off here. And kind of go around. I usually don't. You know, no big reason, just because I'm lazy maybe. So then you have the base here. I usually chop some of that thicker white stuff off. These you can come around. So then these I'm going to save. I don't know if I'll need. I'm going to save this one big one. So we'll do 3/4 of a pepper. Right? Yeah. I'm just trying to visualize what it's going to look like. So with these, if you cut them this way, that's probably the best way. Anything with a hard skin. If you try on the top here, when you go down through, it kind of snaps and it ends up crushing the meat of the pepper sometimes. So the best way is to always put the skin down and then slice this that way. And you can see how I'm kind of using the knife a little different. You know, I was showing you to chop this way, and then you can also do it this way. This way, sometimes I can get thicker strips. If you go like this, you end up sometimes getting them too thin, then they fall apart when you're cooking them. And just for sake of time, I'm just going to chop off 2 of those. And you can see how my cutting board's kind of migrating with my cutting. I'll show you what to do in just a second. So what I usually do with the cutting board, if you see it migrating, is just take a clean towel, stick it underneath, and then it'll stick a little better. There I go, chopping it upside down again. Which brings up a good point. You know, the most important thing I've learned in cooking school was there is no right or wrong way to cook. And that was such a relief, you know. And what it means is, you know, there's a lot of different ways to do a lot of things. And some impart better flavor, and some are easier, and some are faster, and you know, there's a whole different a whole variety of reasons why you would want to do that. So it really doesn't matter what you do as long as you get the results that you're looking for. You know, if your objective is good taste, then of course that's what you're going after. If your objective is to make it look good, well, then that's what you're going after. So however you want to do this is up to you. That's kind of what I'm saying. And with all the recipes, I'm just giving you helpful hints, and this is how I do it. So here we are. We got the onions, we got the peppers. These are going to be set aside. It's called mise en place, M-I-S-E-N-P-L-A-C-E, which means everything in its place. And so now let's do the meat part. And you know, meat to me is one of those things I don't enjoy messing with it, but I do like eating it. So it's, I think, a necessary evil. Maybe not evil. Necessarily gross job. So I have a stainless steel cutting board here, and my girlfriend was generous and excited about the new channel, so she got me this. And we'll use this as our meat board since it's easily sterilized and easily cleaned. So you see the the chicken breast here. I have 2 of them, and like I said, they were marinating overnight. So I will go ahead and just chop these up. You know, you have to kind of remember what size that is and how big you want these. So I'm going to cut these right down the center. And now, chicken nowadays seems to be a lot tougher than I remember. But if you see what I'm doing here, they're kind of strips. They're relatively thin, so they cook fast. And I do have that serrated knife, so it helps cut through this stuff a little better. So you see how I'm doing that? And it's sticky, so you got to be careful. You know, don't get your fingers in the way of the knife. And now here, you see on the tip where it was shorter, I can go in at a diagonal. And then as I come up, you can kind of get it to turn so they don't get too long as the piece gets thicker. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing there. I'm going to finish that up and I'll be right back. Okay, so we got the chicken all cut up. That's both breasts in there. And we got the veggies to go with it, the onions and peppers. So we'll set that aside, we'll put it in the fridge, and we're gonna start with the guacamole. So, the guacamole. Now, you can always take these avocados, mash them up, and put in diced onion, peppers, and tomatoes. And you can season it how you want and all that. But I find it's a heck of a lot easier just to buy some. This is let's see there, get it in the light up a little bit. Pico de gallo. And if you can see on here, we'll get to this side. It's basically just diced onions, peppers, and tomatoes with a little seasoning. But it's fresh salsa. This one's the mild. And so you take a spoonful of this, mix it in with these guys, and mix it up, and you're done. It's pretty good guacamole, and it's really easy. So, avocado. You cut it in half, you go around the seed, right? And then you can twist it to break it apart. Now to get the seed out, you take the knife and you kind of jab it in there, twist it around to break it loose, and pull it out. Right, so we'll do that for this one also. So now you got the 4 halves. So this is how I do it real quick. I just cut the flesh, I'm not going through the skin. And I go ahead and I just dice it in the shell there, in the skin. And you don't have to be any particular size unless you want it diced, and you can dice it just like this. Okay, so then we'll take our bowl and you just kind of squeeze it out. See how they just kind of break out and pop out all nice? Make sure the little stem end doesn't break off and fall in there. But that's how you do it, and it's very simple. So this one, I got something on there. So you got and squeeze it all out. This one's got the stem end, so I'm just being careful not to knock that in there. If I do, I'll pick it back out. Doesn't that look easy? Okay. So then the best way to mash this up is just take a fork and go through here and mash it up as if it was, you know, tuna out of a can or something like that. Right. So get it kind of a coarse mash, however you like it. I opened this up before, so I got the safety seal off. And this is how simple it is. Kind of just, you know, get some of the juice drained off. It's okay to have a little bit. And put as much as you think is necessary. In these 2 avocados, I think I'm going to put just those 3 to begin with. Let's see what that looks like. That looks good to me. I'll be right back. Okay, so we got this little blue bowl, and you know, the thing with avocados is the oxygen in the air is what makes them turn brown. So the best thing to do when you make this is put it right into the container you're going to serve it, and that way it protects, you know, the bottom portion of it, because it's already in the container and that side is cut off from the oxygen, right? So then you got to cut the oxygen off from the rest of it. So I get the old plastic wrap, put this on here, but then tap it down and push a lot of the air out, right? So then in the fridge, where I'm going to put this, it'll cool off, it'll continue doing its thing. Then, when you bring it out, you can pull the plastic off. And if you have to, you can fluff it up and push some of the stuff that may have oxidized in, or take it off, whatever you feel like doing. But for the most part, it'll stay nice and bright green for you, you know, well into the evening, maybe even tomorrow or a couple days. But so that's the guacamole. Of course, y'all can add, you know, salt if it doesn't have enough, pepper if it doesn't have enough spice. Make this into your own. But that was the quick cheat method. So we'll put the guac in a bowl. At service time, I'll put some salsa in a bowl. We'll have the sour cream in a little dish, ramekin, and that'll be what's on the table when we eat. So one last thing to get ready before we start the cooking process is the lime. Now, all citrus can be hard to get the juice out of, but especially limes, because they're small and they're hard. And the best trick I've found with that is to put it on a hard surface and then roll it, you know, kind of, you can see what I'm doing, kind of as you're massaging something. But roll it around, kind of break it up inside the skin there. Push hard, you know, you can see now it's a little softer. So when we cut this open and use it later, you can see actually what it's done. I can actually smell it. It smells so good. Okay, folks, we got all cleaned up. We got our mise en place ready to cook the chicken fajitas. So we're got the skillet, and I got it on high, the full burner, and the pan is, you know, relatively hot now. You can tell that by putting a little water on it, seeing how fast it steams. So I'm going to put some olive oil in there. You can use any kind of oil, you know, vegetable oil of some sort, or even tallow, you know, anything. So this is a good good temperature. I'm going to turn the stove down right now, so we're about medium high. And I'll take the chicken, and without splattering it all over me, we'll put it in the pan. Notice how we got the good sound right away. What we're trying to do is cook this at a very high heat so we get the flavor of the heat. If I had access to an outdoor barbecue grill, I would put the whole chicken breast on the grill it, and then bring it inside and cut it into the strips. But here at my condo, we don't have that. So you can see how much smoke it's putting off, and that's kind of what we want. You sacrifice the indoor air quality for flavor. Like I was saying, there's no right or wrong way. So you can kind of see how, maybe not, how there's some color on that chicken. So I'm getting a good brown on there. So you don't want to use too small of a pan. Otherwise, all the juices, instead of evaporating out, get stuck in there and the meat ends up boiling. So in the wide, big cast iron skillet holds the heat nice. That's why I chose that one. And keep the heat up high. You can see how there's some nice color coming on here. So we're about halfway done with the chicken. So I want to start putting this on because, you know, we're trying to time it so it's all done about the same time. You don't want to overcook any of this for fajitas. So we put the peppers on. They take just a touch longer. Let some of that excess moisture come out. I'm using the flat edge scraper here to scrape it. That way we're not burning anything on the bottom. So now that I got that stirred up and some of the peppers are down there to maybe get a little color, turn the heat back up to high. I can hear the pan cooling down just a touch. So the onions on top, spread them around. So while that's all going, we'll cut this lime open. And you can see how soft it is now, and how like the insides here, they're all kind of broken up, starting to come out. So that's the first part of the trick, is getting juice out of a citrus. The second part is a fork. So now I'm using both scrapers. Actually kind of treating this like a stir fry right now. Break up that big piece of onion. Looks like over here we got something stuck, so I'm gonna scrape that up. Bring some of the cooler, moister vegetables over there to help to glaze the pan. So you can see how much steam's coming off that. That's perfect. I got 2 fans actually in the window. My rinky-dink hood, you know, back from the 70s doesn't exhaust that much. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now. I'm squeezing the lime in. So the fork, if you stick the fork in, and then when you're squeezing it, you kind of move the fork back and forth like this and around in circles. That helps break some of those juice sacs in there. And it kind of gets it all out. That smells so good on the heat. Okay, got the lime in there. So I'm just gonna give it a couple of shakes of salt. And the salt just kind of helps the lime flavor. I'm going to turn it back down to, let's say, medium. Yeah, got medium. So the chicken's cooked now. I'm just waiting for the peppers and onions to get just a touch more. Okay, so I'm going to turn the stove off, and this we will put right into this dish that we'll end up serving it in. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so this is our spread right now. We got the meat with the peppers and onions, the fajita chicken filling, the salsa, sour cream, and this is the guacamole. So this is kind of what I was talking about before. You kind of run a spoon over it, make it look like it's not been smushed down by plastic, you know. Okay. So I like these tortillas. See how small they are? They're about 6 inches. Some are probably more like 5 or so. But, you know, a lot of times I don't heat them up. I'll just eat them room temperature. But you really should heat them up. They behave a little better. So I got a hot skillet here. It's on low temperature-wise. So it's a little cast iron skillet. It's hard to see on the black stove. Handle's not too hot, but you can see it's a round skillet. So we put one of these on there, flip it over, make sure it's nice and hot. Do, 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 do. Okay, let's call that good. We'll put another one on here to start. So we'll get a nice portion of this on here. Make sure to get that's getting a little hot. Make sure you get a good portion of all the nice veggies. Make it look as colorful and appetizing as possible. So put a little sour cream if you like that. I like it all. A little salsa. Spread that around. Little guacamole. Spread that around. So in that, my friends, is the chicken fajita. Let me get another one made and I'll be right back. Alright folks, that's the finished product. Hopefully you found this video very enjoyable and informational. And hopefully you found it something that you would like to come back and watch again, tell your friends about. And maybe, if I'm lucky, you might even want to subscribe to this channel. That would help me out tremendously. But as always, continue having your beautiful day. I know I am. I'm going to have a great dinner. And I'll see you soon. Goes Cat Cooks.